Hello and welcome once again to the Ground Hoppers Guide. As you see, my number has moved up slightly. Mike's has moved up slightly.
Slightly, yeah.
So you've been to one ground since we were last chatting.
Yeah, I only did the one. I've kind of been a bit worn down by the summer. Really, it's been a bit. There's been a few days where it's been ideal to go to football. It's been an absolute washout, and not to say I'm a fair weather fan, but it didn't appeal to me the other weekend. I did have a game in mind for last weekend, but I decided to go to the pub and watch the All Ireland hurling instead.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's a good choice.
Yeah, it was great. I found a new pub I like in Luton, so that's great.
There can't be many.
Sorry?
There can't be many.
And it was. I actually quite liked it. It was a nice pub because there wasn't loads of people in it. So
yeah, that's my favourite pub as well. So I've been to 3 grounds since we last talked. So I've been to the Starbridge ground, which is our background this week. This is the Glass Boys bar, or the outside of it.
Love the name.
Yeah, well, the place is famous for glass, so they're the Glass Boys. So we're going to talk about that first. I also went to the Johnny Rocks in Cheltenham.
Cracking stadium name.
Yeah, well, it's Wadden Road is the name. The sponsor is Johnny Rocks, so it's the Johnny Rocks, and the Hawthorns. So those are my 3. Mike went to Welwyn Garden City.
Yeah, I went to Welwyn Garden City. My ticket there, Hearns Way in Welwyn Garden City. Yeah, it was an experience.
Well, I have like a picture somewhere. So let's.
Do you want me to lead on Welwyn Garden City, and then we'll leave you to go to the races?
Okay, I'm not really sure where the picture's gone.
It has vanished. Anyway, whilst you're fumbling for the photograph, the first game, the only game I've done this since the last recording was Welwyn Garden City versus Thame United in the Southern League Division 1 Central. It was a season opener for Welwyn Garden City. And have you got the picture yet?
No, because it won't let me open it in the.
Fantastic. So I did. Have you got it?
I think it's just because it was minimalised and it's being weird. No, it's not.
Anyway,
okay.
Well, to be honest.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. And it's not the most exciting picture anyway. It's a bit of a damp squib of a ground really for me. It was one solitary stand with a kind of one covered area on one end, and the rest of it was just trees really. For a southern
trees are nice.
Yeah, trees are nice, and it was like in a really nice park in Welwyn Garden City. Welwyn's actually a really nice place in general, and it's in a place called Panshanger Park, which is a bit of an odd name. I don't really know why it's called that, and I think it's this ground is kind of in like a golf course part of the ground, so that's why there's all these big old trees on it. But it was the season opener for their centenary season, and for that reason, Welwyn traditionally play in, if I say West Ham colours, claret and blue, they traditionally play in them
colours.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you're Southern, it's West Ham colours. But this year in their centenary season, they had special quartered red and white quartered shirts, and I have to admit, I do love a quartered shirt, and it looks really good actually for a non-league sort of shirt. But yeah, it was a quite a good game really. It was quite evenly matched as these sort of things being. It was a 1-1. It was a 1-1 final score.
Is that a grass pitch, Mike?
It is a grass pitch, not gone to 3G at Welwyn. Not 3G.
It looks in pretty good nick.
Yeah, well, it's the first game of the season.
I imagine it won't look quite so good in February, but
Yeah, let's see what it looks like in November or February after 3 inches of snow. But it was a grass pitch. The goal, it was a bit of a, there was a lot of like hacking going on, which is always exciting. The Thame United took the first goal, which was a bit of a scrappy header, really. And then Welling equalised not long after with actually a cracking volley, Cowley-esque, as they would say.
Non-league man. It's a strange you should mention him.
Yeah, Cowley-esque effort from someone from Welling Garden City. But yeah, it was a good experience. The bar was really nice for like non-league level. You got the impression that the bar was the center of the community outside of the football. So there was lots of people in the bar as the game was going on. So, which is always a nice thing, and it's what little clubs like this are all about. It's about being the center of a community, and
probably make more money off the bar than off the although you paid a tenner to get in, so maybe not.
Yeah, it was a tenner to get in, so we know we're not in pre-season anymore. But and they had sort of going in the bar. You had like decent cask ale. It was actually a cask ale that was like 3%, which was fine for me because I could have a half of that and it wasn't going to cause me any problems. It was. There was loads of events going on all the time, like the posters for that. So there was loads of things going on there. So it was a nice little club. I don't know if I'd really rush back. It was nice, but
yeah, I do like the little non-league teams that are like the centres of the community. That's I got that vibe from Stourbridge as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't feel that Welling's really one for me. Not as good as Royston was anyway. I loved Royston when I went a few weeks back. So yeah. Anyway,
Stourbridge. This is a pretty old ground. They played here since 1889.
God, that's even older than Kenilworth Road.
18, like quite a bit older. They're the
18. What was it?
1889. So they played football at this ground for like 132 years.
Yeah. Luton was only 3 years old at that point. 4 years old.
Yeah, so it's a proper old historic ground, but it's never moved away from like dual ownership. So
okay,
I don't know if people know this, but Bramall Lane until like the 1950s, the home of Sheffield United was like a 3-sided ground. They had the fourth side was to allow an expanse of land for cricket to be played in it, and a lot of grounds used to have like the 3 sides that were able to be accommodating both football and cricket, and then the fourth side would be open so that you could play cricket on the ground because it's a bigger pitch. So this is from the corner as you come into Stourbridge. So as you can see, that's quite a large playing area. The actual pitch is over here. That's the toilets. So we're behind the goal here, but I've taken a picture across the pitch. So over here, I've got a zoomed in version, but this is the pavilion for the cricket team.
Oh, I love that.
So there's like the pitch is like twice the size of a normal pitch, but it's because they can also play cricket on it, so that there is no fourth side. So when Stourbridge got into the third round of the FA Cup and they played Plymouth, and for that game, they basically put stands here, like stands on this side. And according to a Plymouth fan on footballgroundmap.com, it was disgusting. It's the description of it. So obviously, I think you lose something by losing the pavilion in the background. Also, they had a really wonky corner flag, which so someone tried to come and stand this up at half time and they couldn't. It just kind of lulled back into place. It wasn't having it. But yeah, there's the pavilion.
Speaking of wonky corner flags, the thing which is almost as funny as a wonky corner flag is when they have like a very heavy metal base on it, and you see someone clatter into it and it just doesn't move. That's I don't know if you've seen one of them yet, but that's quite funny.
Yeah, this one just kind of went over. So that was Stourbridge. Like I say, quite a historic ground. The when they were reading out the teams before the game, though, I got a bit of a shock because I didn't realise Jason Cowley had transferred to Stourbridge. So it was like, yeah. I was like, I had to nudge Josh, and I was like, "What was that name? What did he just say over the tannoy?" And yeah, Jason Cowley signed for Stourbridge in like June.
Permanently?
I believe so, yeah, but it's non-league, so permanently means until he decides to sign for somebody else. Yeah, so yeah, so he's moved to Stourbridge, which I think is a mistake because Stourbridge are terrible. So they started the game. They scored after like 4 minutes, and it was Jason Cowley. Obviously,
I think we should have a count for every time we go to a game and Cowley scores.
I'm on 2 already, so yeah. He's
I need
doing
to pick a player.
And then for the rest of the game, Stourbridge were absolutely god awful and just couldn't get out their own half. Hensford, with the team they were playing, you can actually see it just underneath me there.
Hensford. See, I always thought that was Hednesford.
No, you're getting into Midlands pronunciations. That's a Hednesford. So yeah, so they were brilliant. So they basically played poor Stourbridge off the pitch, and Stourbridge are in danger of getting relegated. So this will no doubt mean Jason Cowley somewhere else. They're in the same league as Bromsgrove Sporting, Alvechurch, Hitchin, Biggleswade.
Southern League Premier.
The Southern League Premier, which is the league that I have now seen the most teams play in.
Well, yeah, and I have to admit, I've got 2 or 3 teams near me that I can watch, and you've got lots of teams near you who you can watch. So this is almost our pet league now, isn't it?
This is our league, yeah. So I'm at.
Forget about the 92. We've got to do the 20.
Well, there's 21 teams in the division for some
We've got to
reason.
do the 21, which is the Southern League Premier.
So I've actually been to 4 of them. So I've completed 19% of the league, which is my highest percentage on the Football Ground Map one. So yeah,
we'll have to get down to Topfield in Hitchin. That's a great ground.
So yeah, I went to that. that was kind of fun. If we're talking about like food and drink and stuff, their food looked amazing, but the queue was so long that I was like, there's no chance of me getting served there. But they basically have that social club. So behind that sign where it's the Glass Boys Bar, basically as you come into the ground, you've got the pitch laid out in front of you, and then to the left there's like the clubhouse. Yeah. And the clubhouse was packed. And the club shop was like in the entranceway. For the entranceway to the bar, so they were selling shirts off in the left there as you went in, like a cloakroom, but it's like selling shirts. And then
was you not tempted for a Cowley number 9?
They didn't do printing, so that's alas.
We should go to the market and get it printed.
They play in red as well, which all Midlands teams play in red.
Yeah, maybe not.
So yeah, their away shirt is blue, but it was awful. So that was Stourbridge, but they had an outdoor bar as well, which they've set up for game day. So you went you go through the bar, and then on the other side of the bar there was also an outdoor bar catered to people who couldn't be bothered to go into the bar. So I had a pint of Foster's off that, and it was yeah, it was Foster's or cider. That was basically the choice from the outdoor one. The food looked good though, so
I probably would have gone for cider.
Yeah, I don't like cider.
You don't like cider, yeah, that's a good point.
No. So that was Stourport.
Stourbridge.
Stourport, didn't I? Stourbridge. Stourport's the other one. I always get those two confused. They're like either side of Kidderminster, so like one's like one side and one's the other.
Okay. The Johnny Rocks Stadium.
This is the Johnny Rocks. So I went to see Cheltenham Town versus Ipswich in League One, and this was such a culture clash because it was Ipswich like they're a team that are probably too low down. Like League One is probably like a level below where Ipswich should be playing.
Ipswich is a championship team.
Their stadium's big.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of support. They're a decent team. They play like really nice football.
They're a very wealthy team. They play very good football. They're a bit fashionable. They got a huge catchment area, Ipswich as well. And yeah, they somehow, I don't exactly, because we get a lot of about Ipswich on BBC Look East, which is our local radio, not radio, the local TV news thing.
Well, if you look east, that's where Ipswich is.
Yeah, we get a lot about Look East and a lot about Ipswich and Look East, and I genuinely don't know why they dropped the way they did. It's a bit of an odd thing. I know they have that weird, mysterious Marcus Evans in charge of their. Have you heard about this guy?
No.
So their shirt sponsor for a while was this thing called Marcus Evans.
Well, they're currently sponsored by Ed Sheeran's album, so like
he's equally as mysterious. But there's just this mysterious man who nobody knows who he is or what he looks like. Just owns the team and sponsors it. It's very odd. But yeah, Ed Sheeran now. So
yeah, so this was like a clash of like a societal clash with the fancy Ipswich Town coming out playing like a lot of tiki-taka short passing.
They've definitely got notions.
And so they came in and tried to do that. And they were doing pretty well with it until their centre forward missed an open goal, which I sent you the link to it. It's on Sky Sports YouTube. It's basically down as miss of the season. So he Ipswich, for starters, went ahead. They had a cracking goal. Their left back hit an absolute screamer. And then, the centre forward, he basically was clean through on goal, lifted the ball over the keeper. And all he had to do was just do that and just head the ball into the empty net. I could have done it, and I can't head the ball with me glasses on and everything, just dunk, goal. And instead of doing that, he basically, I don't know what he was thinking, but like he let the ball bounce and then he looked around and realized defenders were coming back and he just kind of panicked. And he kind of mishit it and it went wide, but it was literally an open goal.
If he actually hadn't touched it, it probably would have gone in.
I tend to rate things on the Ronnie Rosenthal scale of like how much of an open goal have they missed. So like a Ronnie Rosenthal is the 1.0, like the full one of like an open goal miss. I'd say that was a 1.6 Rosenthal.
Oh,
because that was a horrendous miss. I don't think you're going to see many worse than that. It's unbelievable.
It's definitely one for the Christmas Jimmy Bullard's Football Funnies DVD.
Yeah. Oh, he'd eat that up.
Yeah.
So the culture clash came because Cheltenham Town didn't try and do anything like that at all. Cheltenham were very much like a case of the crowd were the 12th man. They did a lot of wing play. They were whacking crosses into the box from all kinds of angles. And they've got a guy called Ben Tozer.
Yeah, he used to play for United.
Ben Tozer's a big lad. And he's got one of them Rory Delap long throws. So he bombs them in from absolutely anywhere. And Ipswich kind of coped with it for the first half. But in the second half, when Cheltenham had a bit more of the ball, they just fell apart. So I can see why Ipswich are in that division because they are soft. And Cheltenham exploited that.
I think it's the same reason Sunderland's not bounced up the way they really should have.
I mean, I watched Sunderland play at Port Vale and almost exactly the same thing happened, only Port Vale can't score goals. Otherwise, they'd have got done the same way. Cheltenham battled back, won the game 2-1, and it was the difference was the crowd. Because the crowd in the second half, they were aware that the team needed support and they just didn't stop. So I was right in the corner by the 1887 Red Army, which is like their hardcore like ultra group. They've got a drummer down in the front row.
No drummers. I hate drummers.
Well, you might hate drummers, but they were the difference. There it is. Let me just let's pop this up on screen. So there's the fella in the front row there with the drums. I can live with the drummer because it's like it's a little bit tribal. It's a bit getting the rhythm going. What I don't like is like the England band, where they've got like the trumpet and the.
So did Cheltenham have that?
No, they just had a drummer.
Okay, little drummer boy.
So the drummer's like bang, 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 getting the rhythm going and getting the crowd going. But all these lads that were just off to my right here, so like basically we're separated by the steps, and then everyone else in that corner is like ultras, and that was the difference in the game. So the atmosphere really was something. Like it was something to behold. And Cheltenham is kind of a small ground, so like that's their one end. They get a couple of thousand in there. I was sat in the main stand. That's a couple of thousand. That's the old stand over the other side. That's a couple of thousand, and then over the left there, that's where the Ipswich fans were. That's like it's just under 2,000.
A little bit like Cruise Ground. That it's very similar. Yeah, the Alexandra Stadium is very similar to that, I think. I did like the old ground, basically. There's
something about Cheltenham where it's like they've had to wring every penny they possibly can from this ground. So they've sold the stadium naming rights. That's why it's called the Johnny Rocks. And they put so much advertising up around the ground that the front row now looks like this.
Oh, no.
So they basically put a board all the way across the front there to get more advertising in. But the weird thing was, like, the pitch is there. So I don't have any pictures in here that show how close the pitch was. But, like, I was literally, like, I'd get out of my seat, and if I leant on the bit that was in front of me, I was on the pitch.
Christ.
So those front row seats literally would have been like, you know, you put your feet on where the lino was running up and down.
Did you have the Robin mascot there?
I didn't see him, no.
Yeah, Cheltenham Town, one of the only teams I've ever seen who brought that mascot. We played back when we was in the conference. Luton played a game against Cheltenham in the FA Cup, second round or something like that, and inexplicably Cheltenham Town brought their mascot to an away game, and it's one I've never seen it before. Especially at like that level anyway.
Yeah.
And I think for about the entire before the game, there was just all of our fans just telling Harry the Hatter to just knock him out. But yeah, that's the thing I'll always think about when I see Cheltenham Town is just that they brought their mascot and decided to do a fake punch up with each other. That was pre Harriet, obviously.
Yeah, to be fair, I like the Johnny Rocks. It's not a big ground. It's about I'd say about 5K. I think it is. Yeah, maybe 6. But yeah, it was nice pitch, good views, great atmosphere. Yeah. Can't really argue with that.
Yeah, and I think from a footballing perspective, I mean, having gone through it in pretty much my entire footballing life, is the level of football between the bottom half of League One to the conference is kind of exactly the same. It doesn't change. So I think when you get a team like Cheltenham who can kind of sustain themselves at that level, and then they also get to kick like a team like Ipswich or Sunderland off the park because they're just not used to it. So honestly,
they probably did Ipswich here. Honestly,
League One is a bloody hard league to get out of, because it's just there's such a disparity between there's
certain teams in that division that should really get out. Sunderland should get out of it every season, but they don't necessarily do.
Yeah, but because they've got to go to places like Cheltenham, they've got to go to places like Rochdale, and I don't know if they're in League One.
They're not anymore.
Rochdale and Oldham and places like that. You know, they have to go and play these, and they're effectively, as I say, the standard between League One and the conference is there's no difference whatsoever.
Well, Morecambe are in League One this year. You've got Morecambe, Accrington, Stanley.
Morecambe turned over Sunderland a few weeks back, didn't they? They turned over one. They turned over one of the big teams. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, it's just like it's such a difficult ground to get to league to get out of if you're that sort of team. Yeah, Leeds struggled when they went down. Leicester City had 2 seasons at that level. Forest had a few seasons there. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a shock to the system because I assume most of these teams, when they get down there, are like, "Well, we'll breeze back up through League One." Well, there's a bullseye on you if you get down there.
Yeah. Well, certainly if you do what Luton Town do and go up in first time of asking, but not for everybody.
Well, you can't all be the Hatters. And yeah, finally, I went to the Hawthorns. This was what day are we in? Was this last night? This was last night.
Was it yesterday?
This was yesterday.
Yes.
Because it got moved because it was on Sky, which I was quite happy about because when the original Carabao Cup lineup came out, I was like, oh, excellent. There's plenty of stuff to choose from. Tuesday night, I'll go. It'll be fun. And then discovered that I was working until 10 o'clock. And that kind of put the dampeners on that. Yeah. So I was basically sat around waiting to see what got moved. And when it was West Brom versus Arsenal, I'm like, I'm probably not going to be able to get tickets to that. But yeah, it was quite easy.
Carabao, always easy to get tickets for.
Yeah. I thought, the lure of Arsenal, but that maybe it's probably because West Brom were in the Premier League last season. So this is not something that is new to them, really.
West Brom played them twice last year, and they're probably going to play them twice next season.
Yeah, I mean, West Brom one of the best teams.
Relegated, so
I was going to say West Brom one of the better teams in the division. You wouldn't know it from the game though, because they got absolutely rinsed. So one of the things I've been meaning to do on this is talk about the actual getting to the grounds. So normally we drive to the grounds, we pay for parking there and then when we get there, and I've never had any problems. I kind of anticipated this being a problem, so I booked us into a car park, which is the National Timber one, which is literally opposite the ground. So I'm like, this will be easy. We drive to the ground, go into the car park, walk into the ground, sorted. Plus, we left ourselves an hour and a half to get there. So I'm like, hour and a half to do a 25-minute drive through Birmingham. It's after rush hour. What can possibly go wrong? So after an hour of sitting on the M5, this is where we were. So this is a picture of Halliburton House, which is quite a landmark on the M5. It looks like a church. So it's just off the side of the where it gets elevated, and it's a bridge going into West Bromwich. Okay. Yeah, so we were sat next to that for a while, and we actually got there we got to the car park at 8:05. And luckily it was delayed to 8 because it was on Sky. So normally, I mean, I was aiming to get there in time for a 7:45 kickoff, and it was 8:05. So based on this and the absolute hell that is the West Brom interchange, where you have to go around an island when you come off the motorway, and it's also the island to get back onto the motorway. So if any traffic coming out of West Bromwich goes like across your lane as you're going around, so it ends up with everyone parked like this. And trying to get in between
the Italian job. Like the bit in the Italian job in Turin.
Honestly, it's the worst island in the country
that we've seen so far.
Yeah. I couldn't believe
that. There's worse.
So that basically all the traffic there was at a standstill because everyone's in each other's way. So it was at a standstill that's outside the ground. So like when you finally get off that island and into like the part of Samwell the ground's in, it's only there where you've got a clean run at it. It was just a nightmare, honestly. So I do not recommend it. There is a train station at the Hawthorns.
I was going to say, could you get there on public transport?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'd either recommend driving to another station on the route because it's on quite a long loop route that goes around the outside of it. So even Kidderminster would not be a terrible idea. But driving there, just don't. It would be my recommendation. It was.
I thought about going to because West Brom was our first away game of the season. I did think about going to it, but I didn't. And now you say it, I'm kind of maybe glad I didn't. Well, we lost anyway, so
yeah. My recommendation would be to go somewhere nearby and then just take the train in.
Fair enough.
Or walk. It would be quicker to walk. Like if I got out halfway there and walked it, I'd have got there quicker.
Did you miss any of the goals? Because obviously it wasn't 8 goals, wasn't it?
So the Arsenal scored 6 goals. The first of which was on 17 minutes. So we got to our seat after 15 minutes. So basically, we'd sat down, we just got comfy, and Arsenal scored, and it was like, oh, okay. But it was all downhill from there for Albion. They had a bit of a shocker. There is obviously a gulf in class. I've always looked at pictures of this ground, the Hawthorns. I thought it didn't look like much, but actually being in it, it's very much designed for the spectator.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who do say it's actually one of the better viewing experiences.
Yeah, I mean, we came out. There is a little blue rail. You can't really see it there, but there's a little blue rail running across in the middle of the stand in front of us there. That's where we came out. And walking out onto that, it felt like I was like walking out onto the pitch. It was just really like close.
Okay.
And everything felt like it was on top of where we were. It was like it's kind of hard to explain, but like
you get the big arena feel as you walk out. When in reality, you're not. There's like a 15 rows.
Yeah, but it felt really, really cool coming out onto that, and it felt like we were really close to the pitch. And obviously, because Arsenal's a big side, I mean, my wife watches football, but she doesn't always remember the players. But she saw like Bukayo Saka and was like, "It's Saka from the Euros." So
the Premier League's Jason Cowley.
That's right. So we got to see some superstar players. I like a lot of the detailing as well that you can't really see. So that they have like the famous moments in Albion history kind of up on the sides there. So that's Cyril Regis just on the left there, blue trim 1-0. And it is just really nice because like I don't think there's a bad place to go in the ground. Which
I've heard very similar things. Saying about the photographs that are all blown up on the side. You wouldn't have been able to see it because we wasn't in there, but the Johnny Haynes stand actually has that on the inside at Fulham. Actually has that on the inside as well. So yeah, I do quite like it when they have that.
Yeah, it's cool. I like those little nods of the head to history, and there were a few other bits as well. So we had to wait until the end, but I've got a statue for you.
Oh, who's that then?
That's Tony Bomber Brown.
Oh, okay.
So Tony Brown is like, I think he's record appearances and record goals for Albion. Okay. Record mustache as well. Is in like the best of all time, and he's got a star on like the. I don't know if you're familiar with Birmingham has like a Hollywood style Walk of Fame.
I've heard Birmingham people mention it, but I'm not really. I wouldn't really say I'm particularly familiar with Birmingham. I've been there like twice, so
yeah. So there's like a Walk of Fame. So like the Aston Villa's 1982 team has a star on the Walk of Fame because they won the European Cup.
I suppose like Lenny Henry's probably got one.
Lenny Henry, he probably has. I haven't seen
Nigel Mansell.
I have seen Tony Bomber Brown's star though, because he's got one. So he is a big deal. He's a big shot.
He's a bona fide star of Birmingham.
Yeah, with Birmingham and the surrounding area. The other thing that I kind of want to talk about is the executive areas in football.
Oh, okay.
So I was sat right next to them.
Okay.
Them, the executive fans.
Them,
so,
the people,
like, there was a little dividing rail that I was leaning on like a commoner. And they've all got like nicer seats. So they've all got these seats with like padding on.
Okay.
So we've got all these
like the managers have at like Old Trafford and all that.
Yeah, like proper upper class business. And at half time, they all disappeared.
Okay.
So I'm like, where they all gone?
To go and have their prawn sandwiches and prosecco.
Yeah. So presumably, somewhere underneath this monstrosity is
a bar of some kind.
I guess. I'll never know because like I don't go to football for a gourmet meal and a glass of prosecco. I go to watch the football. So yeah, very weird behaviour.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the having been in the executive boxes at Luton Town, they're kind of not the ones that we sat opposite and mentioned in episode 2.
I feel like that would be a bit of a laugh though if you and all your mates were in it. But like this is just a whole like section of the stand that just decided to get up and walk out at half time, and they didn't even come back out at the start. So the whistle had gone for the start of the second half, and like, there's nobody sat there.
You just want to hop over, don't you? Really?
No, I just want to remove it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know when you watch the Wembley England games, it's always really depressing there's the entire section behind where the England team is effectively, which is executive, and it's always empty. That's always very depressing to see that.
Yeah, I don't.
It's for sponsors and like when they have like the Champions League finals there and things. It's just so depressing.
Yeah, not keen. Let the fans in. That's what I say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming most of these were like reasonably fanny fans, but just to just
certainly fanny fans. I
don't rate that when you don't even make it out for the start of the second half. It's like, what are you doing? What's the point?
Well, the only defence I can think of is obviously you can't drink in the view of the pitch, but then
I think that's nonsense as well. They should get rid of that.
Yeah, because you can do that at the rugby.
Yeah, just let people have a beer in the stand. What's the worst that could happen?
Well, when I saw
all that's happening at the moment is you've just got a bunch of fans necking pints before they come out to watch the football,
or pre-drinking and more likely to be more drunk.
And getting drunk when you get into the ground. Just let them have a beer when they're watching the game.
Yeah,
nothing goes wrong in non-league football, and if you think the fans in these games are not like pissed out their heads off of them, then you're wrong. So
yeah, you just listen to half of them.
Yeah.
You don't see much fan violence in the stadiums with German grounds.
No.
They have terraces and they have drinking in the pitch. In fact, it's mandatory. You have to drink at the football game, and you have to have a sausage this long. So yeah, it works. There we go. You allow drinking at the football, but you have to have a big sausage with it.
I think that's acceptable. Those are acceptable rules. I can live by them. So, and on that note, that's all we've got time for this week. So we'll be back in like 2 weeks.
2-3 weeks.
I was talking to Mike beforehand about some of the games I've got lined up. So I'm aiming to go to Forest Green Rovers next week. I've actually got tickets this time. It's in the EFL Trophy, so they were dead cheap.
Nice. Is it? It's not the Papa John's Trophy this year, is it?
I don't actually know what the sponsor is, but it's the EFL Trophy. It was £7 for a ticket.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw a Checkatrade Trophy game, which is the same thing.
Is it Checkatrade or Papa John's?
No, it was the Checkatrade. Then it became it was the Johnson's Paint.
Yeah.
Then it became the Checkatrade, and now I think it's the Papa John's, or maybe it's just the EFL Trophy. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't have a sponsor.
Yeah, so I'm going to that. I'm going to go to Hillsborough if I can get tickets, and also Wales. I'm going to go to the Wales game.
Yeah, Wales Estonia.
Wales Estonia.
Yeah, no. Well, I will do that eventually. So that's one I will have to do eventually. But what I've got planned, I'll be going to a game on Bank Holiday Monday. I'm waiting to see what friend of the show, we haven't had one of them yet, what friend of the show Welshie is up to, because I believe he might be up for that. So I've got an option. I've got a short list of about 5 or 6.
He's hooked me up with the ticket link, so I could actually get tickets to Wales, because like non-Welsh people aren't allowed.
No, it's banned. That's the burden.
But I am partially Welsh, so it kind of counts.
And you live near Wales, I suppose that counts. You live in a neighbouring country to Wales, so you should be allowed. So I'll be going to a game on Monday, Bank Holiday Monday. Fingers crossed. And I may possibly be going to Scotland, Moldova at the weekend, because I will be in Scotland at the weekend next weekend.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Estonia and you to see Moldova in the same week. That would be
yeah. So we could potentially have an exciting international week to talk about. But yeah, I think we'll be going to that game, but it's not 100% confirmed yet. So, but then whatever we get up to in the week after, basically. Yep. We're planning for a weekend beyond, which we'll probably be getting something in, like what we did for Fulham and Luton, but we shall have to see on that one. So
exciting times lay ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to go and click like and subscribe down the bottom so you don't miss any of this content. You can follow Mike on Twitter at Mike Kilby, where you can read the threads of his thoughts on various football grounds. And you can go to arnoldfurious.com to read all of the little blog things that I've been presenting during the course of this video. Enjoy that, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.